Look, I need to get something off my chest, or whatever the anatomical equivalent is for a Vorthian like myself. My name is Krell, and I have been working as a security officer aboard the Interstellar commerce vessel Meridian's Hope for approximately 6 standard cycles now. In all that time, I thought I had seen everything the galaxy could throw at me. Pirates? Check. Contraband smuggling? Double check. That one time a Glorpian tried to bring 17 unauthorized pets aboard, all of them venomous? Yeah, that too, but nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the day we hired Marcus Webb. The humans had only recently joined the Galactic Federation, right? Fresh faces in the cosmic neighborhood, all bright-eyed and eager to prove themselves worthy of a seat at the big kids' table. Command thought it would be a fantastic idea to promote interspecies cooperation by assigning one to our engineering team. Great. Wonderful. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, as it turned out. Everything could go wrong. Marcus arrived on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays are when Chef Grix serves those gelatinous protein cubes I actually enjoy, and I was in a decent mood. He walked into the cargo bay with this ridiculous grin plastered across his face, carrying nothing but a single duffel bag and what appeared to be a container of some brown liquid he called coffee. The guy stood maybe 6 feet tall, had messy brown hair that looked like it had never met a proper grooming device, and wore a jumpsuit that had definitely seen better days. Hey there, he called out, waving at anyone who would look. Marcus Webb, reporting for duty. This ship is incredible, seriously. I have been dreaming about working on a Vorthian drive system since I was 12. Rena, our head engineer and a Clixon of considerable reputation, looked him up and down with all 4 of her eyes. You are the human? Guilty as charged, Marcus said, still grinning like an idiot. Where do I sign in? Also, is there a caffeine dispenser anywhere? Because I am definitely going to need one if I am going to make it through the day. I should have known right then. The warning signs were all there. The first week went smoothly enough, I suppose. Marcus worked hard, asked intelligent questions, and seemed genuinely fascinated by everything around him. He made friends with the crew, learned everyone's names within 48 hours, and even started picking up basic Vorthian phrases. Badly, mind you. His accent was atrocious. But he tried, and people appreciated that. Then came the incident with Torvik. Torvik is, how do I put this delicately, an absolute menace. He is a zenith, which means he stands about 4 feet tall, has purple skin covered in bioluminescent spots, and possesses a sense of humor that can charitably be described as sadistic. He had been pulling pranks on new crew members since before I even joined the Meridian's Hope, and he had it down to an art form, his favorite target. Anyone he thought he could scare. I was running my usual patrol through the engineering section when I heard voices coming from the supply room. Torvik's high-pitched laugh, unmistakable and grating, echoed through the corridor. Come on, human, Torvik was saying. Everyone does this. It is like a tradition. Your initiation into the crew. I rounded the corner and found Marcus standing there, holding a small vial of thick, amber liquid. Oh no. Oh, by the 7 moons of Vorthax, no. That was Zyloxin extract. Pure, concentrated Zyloxin extract. For context, Zyloxin is derived from a plant native to the Dagmar system. To most species in the galaxy, it is lethally toxic. We are talking about a substance so dangerous that we keep it locked in the medical bay, clearly labeled with 17 different warning symbols, and only use it in microscopic doses for certain medical procedures. 1 drop can cause complete respiratory failure in a Clixon. 2 drops will make a Vorthian's organs shut down sequentially. 5 drops? You are not dying. You are already dead, you just have not realized it yet. Torvik had somehow acquired an entire vial, and he was trying to trick Marcus into drinking it. Torvik! I shouted, reaching for my stun baton. Step away from the human right now. But I was too slow. Everything happened in horrible slow motion. Marcus, that absolute madman, looked at the vial, looked at Torvik, shrugged, and said, bottoms up, I guess. Then he drank it. All of it. In one smooth gulp. My primary heart stopped. Possibly my secondary heart too, I am not entirely sure. The room went silent except for the humming of the ship's engines. Torvik's bioluminescent spots flickered in shock. I stood there, frozen, watching Marcus die right in front of me, except he did not die. Marcus smacked his lips, tilted his head to one side, and made a thoughtful expression. Huh. That is interesting. It has got kind of a bitter aftertaste, doesn't it? Almost like, I don't know, really strong cough syrup mixed with energy drinks. Not great, but I have definitely had worse at college parties. What? Torvik's voice came out as a squeak. You are not dead? Why would I be dead? Marcus asked, genuinely confused. He held up the empty vial. Wait, was this supposed to be poison or something? Because that would be a pretty messed up prank, dude. I finally found my voice. That was Zyloxin extract. Pure Zyloxin extract. How are you alive? Marcus blinked. Zyloxin? Hold on, I remember reading about that in the orientation materials. That is the stuff made from those orange plants, right? High alkaloid content, neurotoxic properties, lethal to most Federation species? He paused, scratching his head. Oh. Yeah, I guess that would be pretty dangerous. Good thing humans have weirdly robust livers and a stupid high tolerance for alkaloids. We evolved eating all sorts of poisonous plants back on Earth. Trial and error, you know? Torvik had turned an interesting shade of pale purple. But that is impossible. Nothing survives that much Zyloxin. Nothing. Well, I mean, I survived, Marcus said helpfully. He looked at the vial again. Actually, now that I think about it, this has got kind of a stimulant effect. I feel pretty energized. You guys wouldn't happen to have more, would you? This could be way better than coffee. I am not ashamed to admit that I sat down right there on the floor. My legs just gave out. Somewhere in the distance, I heard Rena's voice over the intercom calling for a medical team, but I could barely process it. The human had just consumed enough poison to kill a small battalion, and he was asking for more because he liked the buzz. The medical team arrived within minutes, led by Dr. Vexel, our chief medical officer, and a Therosian with limited patience for nonsense. She scanned Marcus with every device in her kit, drew blood samples, checked his vital signs, and ran a full spectral analysis. His biochemistry is insane, she announced, staring at her datapad like it had personally offended her. The Zyloxin is being broken down by his liver at an accelerated rate. His body is treating it like any other toxin, neutralizing it before it can cause damage. This should not be possible. But it is possible, Marcus said, sitting on the examination table and swinging his legs like a child. Because I am fine. See? Totally fine. All fingers and toes accounted for. Dr. Vexel turned to Torvik, who looked like he wanted the floor to open up and swallow him. You tried to kill him. I did not think he would actually drink it. Torvik protested. I thought he would smell it, realize something was wrong, and we would all have a laugh. It was supposed to be a scare, not this. You are an idiot, I told him flatly. You are getting reported to Captain Drax, and you are going to spend the next month scrubbing plasma conduits with a toothbrush. Marcus waved his hand dismissively. Oh, come on. He didn't mean any harm. It was just a prank gone wrong. No need to get him in trouble. He tried to poison you, Dr. Vexel said slowly, as if explaining to a particularly dense child. Yeah, but I am fine, Marcus insisted. And honestly, it is kind of funny when you think about it. The look on his face when I did not keel over? Priceless. I wish I had recorded it. That was when I realized something terrifying. The human was not just physically resilient. He was psychologically unshakable. He had been tricked into drinking lethal poison, survived it through sheer biological stubbornness, and was now laughing about the whole thing. Word spread through the ship faster than a whole breach. By dinner time, everyone knew what had happened. The cafeteria buzzed with conversation, and I watched as crew members approached Marcus, equal parts fascinated and horrified. Is it true you drank Zyloxin? A young Clixon engineer asked, her voice trembling. Yep, Marcus said cheerfully, shoveling something resembling noodles into his mouth. Not recommended, by the way. The aftertaste sticks with you. And you survived? Well, I am sitting here talking to you, so yeah, I survived. The Clixon sat down next to him, staring with wide eyes. Humans are terrifying. We are really not, Marcus said through a mouthful of food. We just have good immune systems and questionable decision-making skills. It is a winning combination. Captain Drax called me to her office that evening. She is a Vorthian like myself, tall and imposing, with scales that shimmer like polished silver. She had served in the Federation Navy for 20 cycles before retiring to merchant vessels, and she did not tolerate foolishness. Explain, she said simply. I told her everything. The prank, the poison, Marcus's impossible survival, the way he had laughed it off like it was nothing. She listened without interruption, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and sighed. I read the reports about humans before we hired him. Impressive endurance, adaptable, curious. But the reports failed to mention that they are apparently unkillable. Should we be worried? I asked. Worried? No. Cautious? Absolutely. She tapped her claws on the desk. Make sure Torvik understands that pranks involving potentially lethal substances are banned effective immediately. And keep an eye on Marcus. If he survives Zyloxin, I want to know what else his species can withstand. Yes, Captain. As I left her office, I could not shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Marcus Webb had been on board for exactly 8 days, and he had already survived something that should have killed him 3 times over. Had a sinking suspicion that things were going to get much weirder. 3 days after what I had started calling the Zyloxin incident, things had supposedly returned to normal. Supposedly. But normal on the Meridian's hope with Marcus Webb aboard was turning out to be a very flexible concept. The human had become something of a celebrity. Crew members who had previously ignored him now sought him out, asking questions about Earth, about human biology, about what other insane things his species could survive. Marcus, to his credit, seemed genuinely baffled by all the attention. I really don't get why everyone is making such a big deal out of this, he told me during my routine patrol through engineering. He was elbow deep in a plasma coupling, doing maintenance that would have required protective gear for most species. He was wearing a t-shirt. My buddy Jake back home once accidentally drank antifreeze at a party. He was fine after they pumped his stomach. This is basically the same thing. It is absolutely not the same thing, I said, checking my datapad. Antifreeze and Zyloxin are completely different substances with completely different toxicity levels. Poison is poison, man, Marcus said, shrugging. He pulled his arm out of the coupling, covered in grease up to his shoulder. Oh, hey, I have been meaning to ask you something. What is that stuff in the yellow containers down in Cargo Bay 3? It smells kind of sweet. My blood went cold. Marcus, please tell me you did not open the yellow containers. I mean, I might have opened one? Just to see what was inside? He said it like a question, like he was not sure if he had committed another act of spectacular stupidity. There was this gel substance that kind of reminded me of honey, so you what? I demanded, already dreading the answer. I tasted it? Marcus said, wincing. Just a little bit. Like, barely a fingertip's worth. It was weird, kind of fizzy on the tongue, but not bad. Sort of like Pop Rocks mixed with maple syrup. I grabbed his shoulders and looked him directly in the eyes. That was Thraxian combat gel. We are transporting it to a military installation on Outpost 7. It is designed to eat through armor plating and can dissolve most organic matter on contact. How much did you ingest? Marcus held up his thumb and forefinger about a centimeter apart. Like, this much? Maybe? Get to medical bay. Right now. But I feel fine, he protested. I do not care if you feel fine. Move. We practically ran through the corridors, drawing stares from everyone we passed. I called ahead to Dr. Vexel, who was already pulling up Marcus's file with what I could only describe as resigned frustration. What did he consume this time? She asked before we even entered. Thraxian combat gel, I said breathlessly. Doctor. Vexel closed her eyes and took a long, deep breath. Of course he did. Get on the table, human. The examination took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of increasingly confused readings, double-checking equipment, and running tests that should have shown catastrophic internal damage. Instead, Marcus's digestive system appeared to be processing the combat gel like it was slightly spicy food. Your stomach acid is neutralizing it, Dr. Vexel finally said, sounding like she was questioning her entire medical education. Your stomach acid has a pH level strong enough to break down military-grade corrosive compounds. This is absurd. This violates several fundamental principles of biology. Hey, we evolved to eat rotten meat when we had to, Marcus said helpfully. Our stomachs are basically acid tanks. I once knew a guy who swallowed a live goldfish on a dare and was totally fine. Stop talking, Dr. Vexel said. Every time you speak, you make this worse. I reported the incident to Captain Drax, who listened with the expression of someone watching their carefully organized life spiral into chaos. 2 incidents in less than a week, Krell. 2 potentially fatal exposures that he survived without medical intervention. Yes, Captain. What is he going to do next? Breathe vacuum? Swim in the plasma core? I certainly hope not, Captain. She rubbed her temples. Add Thraxian combat gel to the list of substances Marcus Webb is banned from consuming. Also, put locks on all hazardous material storage areas and give him a detailed briefing on what he should absolutely not touch, eat, drink, or otherwise interact with aboard this vessel. The briefing happened the next morning in the conference room. I had prepared a comprehensive presentation with visual aids, chemical formulas, and explicit warnings. Marcus sat there taking notes like a diligent student, nodding along as I explained each dangerous substance we carried. So, to summarize, I said at the end, do not consume anything not explicitly designated as food. Do not touch anything in sealed containers. Do not experiment with unknown chemicals. And for the love of all that is sacred in the galaxy, if someone offers you something as a joke, assume it will kill you and decline. Got it, Marcus said, closing his notebook. Don't eat the scary stuff. Pretty straightforward. I am serious, Marcus. I know. You have my word. No more accidental poisonings. That promise lasted exactly 36 hours. I was off duty, trying to enjoy a meal in my quarters, when the ship's alarm system activated. Not the emergency breach alarm, thankfully, but the hazardous spill protocol. My communicator chirped immediately. Krell, we need you in Laboratory 4, Rena's voice came through, tight with barely controlled panic. Now. I arrived to find Laboratory 4 sealed behind emergency containment doors, decontamination protocols active, and Marcus visible through the transparent aluminum viewport. He was standing in the middle of the room, covered head to toe in bright blue slime, looking deeply embarrassed. What happened? I demanded. There was an accident with the Xenovian algae samples, Rena explained, her mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. The containment vessel cracked, and Marcus was in the room conducting equipment maintenance. He has been exposed to approximately 40 liters of concentrated algae suspension. That stuff produces neurotoxins. I shouted, already reaching for the decontamination override. We need to get him into medical immediately. Wait, Rena said, holding up a claw. Watch. Through the viewport, I saw Marcus wipe some of the blue slime off his face. He sniffed it, made a considering expression, and then, because apparently he had learned absolutely nothing, he licked his fingers. Oh, that is actually pretty good, his voice came through the intercom. Tastes like blueberries mixed with seaweed. Weirdly refreshing. Is this available in the cafeteria? Because it should be. I pressed my forehead against the cool metal of the wall. He just tasted neurotoxic algae and said it was refreshing. His readings are normal, Rena said, showing me her scanner. Whatever neurotoxins are present, his system is processing them without issue. In fact, his dopamine levels are slightly elevated. He is enjoying it. This cannot be happening. And yet, it is. We decontaminated Marcus, got him cleaned up, and sent him straight back to Dr. Vexel, who was beginning to look like she regretted every life choice that had led her to this ship. She ran the standard battery of tests, found nothing wrong except slightly elevated happiness indicators, and prescribed Marcus a stern lecture about laboratory safety. You need to stop consuming hazardous materials, she told him firmly. I didn't mean to. It just got in my mouth during the spill. Your report says you deliberately licked your fingers. Well, yeah, but that was after it got in my mouth, so I figured the damage was already done, and I was curious about the taste. Dr. Vexel looked at me. I looked at Rena. We all shared a moment of silent understanding that we were dealing with something beyond our comprehension. That evening in the cafeteria, Marcus had somehow become even more popular. Crew members from every department wanted to hear about his latest survival story. He recounted the algae incident with humor and humility, making jokes about his apparently indestructible digestive system. I think my ancestors would be proud, he said, laughing. We spent thousands of years figuring out what we could eat without dying, and apparently we got really good at it. Maybe too good. A young Vorthian navigator named Sella leaned forward, fascinated. Is it true that humans on Earth regularly consume substances that are toxic to other species? Oh, definitely, Marcus said. Chocolate is poisonous to dogs. Caffeine is toxic to most animals. Alcohol is literally poison that we drink recreationally. Capsaicin, the stuff that makes peppers spicy? That is a defense mechanism plants evolved to stop mammals from eating them. We put it on everything. We are basically apex predators who got bored with regular food and started eating things that tried to kill us. The table fell silent. Everyone was staring at Marcus with a mixture of awe and horror. Your species is terrifying, Sella whispered. We are really not, Marcus insisted. We are just stubborn and hungry. Bad combination. Captain Drax called a senior staff meeting the following morning. Everyone looked exhausted except Marcus, who seemed bright and energetic despite his multiple near-death experiences. We need to discuss the human situation, Captain Drax began. In the past week, Marcus has survived exposure to 3 separate substances that should have killed him. While I appreciate his resilience and work ethic, we cannot continue having hazardous material incidents every other day. It is not his fault, Rena said, surprising me. The Zyloxin was a prank, the combat gel was mislabeled curiosity, and the algae spill was a genuine accident. He has not been deliberately reckless. Deliberately or not, he is becoming a liability, Captain Drax said. Not because he is incompetent, but because our safety protocols are designed for species that can actually die from common toxins. We need to adapt. I have a suggestion, Dr. Vexel said. Instead of trying to protect Marcus from hazardous materials, what if we utilized his unique biology? He could handle dangerous cargo transfers, conduct maintenance in areas with atmospheric contamination, and respond to chemical spills without requiring full protective equipment. I stared at her. You want to use him as a walking hazmat suit? I prefer the term specialized hazardous materials handler, Dr. Vexel said dryly. And yes, essentially. His biology makes him uniquely suited for tasks that would require extensive safety measures for other crew members. Marcus perked up. That actually sounds pretty cool. I get to be useful and work with interesting stuff? I am in. We would need to run extensive tests first, Captain Drax said thoughtfully. Establish clear boundaries for what he can and cannot handle. Create new protocols specifically designed around human physiology. I volunteer for the tests, Marcus said immediately. Science is awesome, and I want to know what I can survive. For science. That is exactly the attitude that worries me, I muttered. Over the following weeks, Dr. Vexel conducted a comprehensive study of Marcus's resistance to various substances. She discovered that humans had remarkable tolerance for alkaloids, acids, bacteria, fungi, alcohol compounds, and a surprisingly long list of things that should by all rights have killed him. She also found his limits, like certain heavy metals and oxygen-poor atmospheres, which was somehow reassuring. At least he was not completely invincible. Marcus became our go-to specialist for dangerous tasks. Coolant leak in the engine room with toxic fumes? Marcus handled it with just a basic respirator. Corrosive chemical spill in Cargo Bay 5? Marcus cleaned it up while eating lunch. Biological contamination in the water recycling system? Marcus fixed it and made jokes about Earth's sewage treatment workers. You know what the funny thing is? Marcus told me one day as we watched another crew member struggle into a full hazmat suit. Back on Earth, I was just a regular engineer. Nothing special. But out here in space, my ability to not die from random poison makes me valuable. It is weird but kind of awesome. You are definitely special, I said. Just not in the way you think. I will take that as a compliment. 3 months after Marcus joined the crew, we faced our first real crisis. Pirates attacked a civilian transport near our position, and Captain Drax ordered us to render aid. We arrived to find the ship venting atmosphere and leaking drive coolant, a toxic compound that would kill most species within minutes of exposure. We cannot get close enough without risking contamination, Rena reported. The coolant cloud is too dense. Marcus stood up from his station. I can do it. Absolutely not, Captain Drax said. It is too dangerous. Captain, with respect, this is literally why you have been training me, Marcus said. I have been exposed to drive coolant twice in controlled tests. Dr. Vexel says my lungs can filter it long enough to complete a rescue. There are people dying on that ship right now. Let me help them. Captain Drax looked at me. I looked at Dr. Vexel. She nodded slowly. He can survive approximately 18 minutes of exposure. After that, even his system will begin to fail. 18 minutes is enough, Marcus said. I can dock, get them into suits, and get out. Captain Drax made the decision. Do it. But if you die out there, I am putting it in your permanent record. Marcus grinned. Deal. I watched from the bridge as Marcus piloted a shuttle into the toxic cloud, docked with the damaged transport, and disappeared inside. The next 15 minutes were the longest of my life. The entire crew held their breath, monitoring his vital signs through his suit sensors. At minute 14, Marcus emerged with 6 survivors, all suited up and secured. He sealed the shuttle, detached, and made it back to the Meridian's Hope with 90 seconds to spare. When he stepped out of the shuttle, coughing but grinning, the entire crew erupted in cheers. Even Torvik, who had been avoiding Marcus since the Zyloxin incident, approached him with what looked like genuine respect. You saved those people, Torvik said quietly. You risked your life in conditions that would have killed any of us in seconds. I am sorry for what I did. You are a true member of this crew. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. Hey, man, we are cool. Your prank inadvertently helped discover my weird superpower. If anything, I should thank you. That night, Captain Drax made an announcement over the ship's intercom. Crew of the Meridian's Hope, today we witnessed something extraordinary. Our human colleague risked everything to save lives, utilizing his unique biology in ways we never imagined possible. Marcus Webb has proven that humanity's greatest strength is not their resistance to toxins or their robust physiology. It is their willingness to use whatever advantages they have to help others, regardless of personal risk. I am proud to serve alongside him. Later, in the quiet of the observation deck, Marcus found me staring out at the stars. Hey, Krell, he said, joining me by the viewport. Thanks for having my back these past few months. I know I have been kind of a handful. That is an understatement, I said, but I was smiling. You have consumed enough poison to kill a battalion, survived chemical exposures that defy explanation, and somehow turned it all into the galaxy's strangest superpower. Yeah, it has been a wild ride, Marcus admitted. But you know what? I think this is exactly where I am supposed to be. Out here in space, doing impossible things with an amazing crew. It is better than any dream I had back on Earth. I looked at this strange, resilient, impossible human who had turned our orderly ship upside down and made us all better for it. Welcome to the family, Marcus Webb. Thanks, he said, grinning that ridiculous grin. By the way, do we have any more of that Xenovian algae? Because I have been craving it all week, and I was thinking maybe we could synthesize a food-safe version for the cafeteria. I sighed deeply. Marcus, we need to talk about your dietary choices. He laughed, and the sound echoed through the observation deck, full of joy and life and the unmistakable spirit of humanity. Terrifying, resilient, impossible humanity, and I would not have it any other way.